So, I guess the my third topic that I picked, which is politics. Now, this one's probably going to get a lot of people offended, but in the end, everyone has their own opinion, and I think that's something that's really important that we've all forgotten. I'm Canadian, so right now we have an election coming up in October, and it seems like there's two choices. There's either liberal or conservative. Those are the two mainstream ones. You can tell me there's the NDP. Yes, they are growing in popularity. There's also the Green Party. They're growing in popularity too. But the two main competitors are liberal and conservative. There's been the addition to the People's Party of Canada. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. But when I look at the values of all the parties, I don't find a single one that really lines up with what I'm doing. It, I've explained to a few other people that, you know what, I almost feel like I'm libertarian. And they look at me like, well, you're a liberal. Well, no, I'm not a liberal. I don't believe in the same values as as much as what the liberals do, but at the same time, I don't believe in the same conservative values. And I think libertarian almost falls into what my values are because I don't want to tell anybody how they should live their lives. I don't want to dictate down that over the simple stuff. Over the last few years, it's gotten so ridiculous to how much the government tells us that we can and cannot do that I don't really feel like I have any freedom at all. It's as a Canadian, we were supposed to have all this freedom. Now, either it's illusion or we're actually getting less freedoms than we had before. Now, everybody's probably going to say, you know what, we have all the freedom, more freedoms than anybody else in the world. Well, I don't think so. I don't have the freedom of saying, you know what, I don't want to wear my bicycle helmet. If I go out and I ride my bicycle helmet, it should be my right to go and slam my head into the pavement. So, seeing something where Sikhs are allowed to ride motorcycles without their helmets because it's a religious value, well, you know what? So be it. It's your religious value. You don't want to wear a helmet. Let them. At the same time, I believe that I should have the right to say, you know what? I don't want to wear a helmet because I don't want to wear a helmet. It's my freedom. And we've gotten to be such an overprotective world that we've forgotten what people's rights and freedoms are. Everybody has this inclination that, you know what, if it's to involve safety, that, well, we need to make a law about it. And it boils down to just about that simplest fact that why are we telling anybody what to do? You know, there's going to be your main points of you need laws, so you can't do something to somebody else. But if what I'm doing isn't hurting anybody or even affecting them, then why? Why do we even have to have that discussion? You know, like, so in the political end of it, conservative and the far right, I don't want to tell anybody what they can do medically when it comes down to a woman or a man or any of that stuff. And same at this other side of the scale, I don't want to be the one paying for everybody's freedoms. So where do you find the balance? I think most people want to just have that balance of just leaving everybody alone. Everybody can do their own thing and pay for their own stuff. But it doesn't seem to work out that way anymore. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting frustrated. It just doesn't seem to end. And and it bothers me a lot that there's no way of stopping it. I think everybody in a way almost feels helpless. You're stuck with two options that are not really good options, and it's going to be campaigned about. We're going to have to suffer through another month of everybody bickering and fighting and telling them that, you know what, you're a racist because you don't believe in great gay marriage, or you know what, you're racist because you don't believe in immigration, or You know what? If I don't believe in those values, I can say it. It's supposed to be a free country where you can say, you know what? I don't believe in gay marriage. But then all of a sudden you're shamed. Why? It's my belief. It's not like I'm saying that God's going to condemn you. I'm not even a religious person. So why would I say something like that? But it seems like everybody takes everything to such an extreme that nobody ever gets a chance to explain themselves anymore. And then it seems like the only way to win a fight is nobody sits down and talks about it anymore and tries to see both sides of the story. It's just we yell and we talk over each other, and then nobody feels heard or understood by the end of it. So it's kind of sad to, have an election coming up, and I'm to the point I don't really know who I'm going to vote for. I know there's a lot of right hand, I kind of tend to go to the right. But at the same time, the right likes to say that they're going to, enforce so many things that I kind of go back to the left. So there's no middle ground. It seems like it's just such a mess, and nobody wants to stick their grounds anymore, that it snowballs. So there's many political things that are going to be coming out in the next month that are going to be noted, fought about, and it's probably still going to leave me in the same situation, standing at a booth, wondering really who is the best guy to vote for. Now, as anybody in Western Canada would say, that's a no-brainer question. Vote Conservative. But the Conservatives have had a pretty bad track record with some of their decision-making too. Whereas the Liberals, last 4 years, have been detrimental to my job and affected a lot of people around me that I don't think, going with them is no choice either. So, what's left? What's left? We just suffered through an Alberta NDP government, and that was a train wreck. You watch the neighbors to the west, and gas is at $1.37 because of their government. You still have Saskatchewan. Well, they're crawling out of 15 years of a socialist government. So that's why I am very strong anti-NDP, is because they're pretty good at spending it, but they're not really good at getting it back. Like, governments aren't meant to just take. They need to be able to be a bit fiscally responsible and understand that, we should be able to manage off of the resources that are in the ground. But it just doesn't seem to work that way. It just seems like that the only revenue that any government now understands is taxes. And that's wrong. This country has enough royalty from their resources that we should be getting paid to be here. Alaska, they do it. They got so many royalties that they get an annual income. I still remember a point in time when Alberta, everybody got a royalty check because we were finally out of debt. Now, why can't we do that anywhere else? BC, you have logging, you have fishing, you have gold, you have all sorts of minerals. But why are you poor? Why are you taxing your people to death? Why is Alberta not debt-free still? Now, this is a point that I can't believe, is we had Ralph Klein pull us out of debt, years of sacrifice, poor schooling, bad road conditions, all sorts of problems. We get out of it. And then we have Stelmach and Redford throw us right back into it. Now, the economic theory of taking and borrowing money and putting it back in to keep people working, if your economy is not running itself, there's nothing that government can do to keep on going. It's just a temporary band-aid that you should deal with later on, but they don't. Nobody does. It just keeps on snowballing. It's like Churchill said, you can't stand taxing your people to get out of debt is like standing in a bucket to bail out the water. Like it's some of the sort, but you can't tax yourself out of debt. It'll never work. So, and none of the political parties that are going want to talk about the financial responsibility. They just want to have a quick sell of saying, you know what, we're going to give you a little more as a middle class, vote for me, or we're going to have more opportunities for the middle class. We're going to have, all these other fancy things, but nobody explains where the money's coming from. Nobody explains where they had to sacrifice to get to another point. It was just like when the Trudeau government came in, they said we're not going to tax baby checks. That was a great selling feature for a lot of people. Oh, we're not going to be taxed on the baby check. So yeah, that was a good point for the middle class, but they never did say that they're going to get rid of income splitting. If they did, they said it fairly quiet, because that literally took all of the middle class, and come tax time, destroyed the whole point of splitting your primary income with your spouse. So how did that help anybody? In the end, it affected the difference by $100. So saying you're not going to tax something was just a way of buying votes. It was a ruse just to get there. So, here's hoping with the upcoming election that everybody pays attention to what everyone's saying. The latest one that I like, now this is something else from a conservative that blows my mind, is how everybody gets on the bandwagon, the media bandwagon. Now, Facebook and social media, those are even worse because they spread so many myths, truths. They deviate from what is actually happening, that they just create this wave of people that are ill-informed. Now, the one that got me was that the Liberal government wants to tax capital gains. Now, taxing capital gains, I'm not against. I do not want my capital gains taxed, especially selling your home. My home is my home, and if I sold it, that's my primary residence. Having it not taxed is where I'd like to keep it. But the thing that everybody's going around now is saying that the Liberals are going to tax capital gains on selling your house, and then ends it. Nobody ever explains that there's actually a breakdown, because they want people to hold on to their houses longer. So yeah, you're going to get taxed 40% if you sell your house in the first year of ownership. Okay, well, so anybody that's going to own their house as a primary residence, very few, maybe I'm wrong, but very few are going to sell their house within the first year. So, and then progressively, till 5-year mark, it goes down. It goes from 40, I believe, to 30 to 15, and then like the fourth year or the fifth year, there's no more tax after that. So if you own your house for 7 years, they don't plan on taxing it. So it's kind of a misguide. It's fighting dirty. Now, maybe it's always been there, but it's just, why are we misguiding each other so much? So, politics, I'd say, is probably a very big topic to talk about on here. I'd like to hear some opinions. Maybe just make some comments in the bottom. I know it's Canadian politics, so it probably ain't going to appeal to too many folks down in the States, but if there's something in particular that you want me to talk about, just mention it in the bottom here.